Have you ever found yourself in a room full of people, everyone talking and laughing, and felt like you were watching it all from behind a pane of invisible glass? It's not that you feel superior. Not at all. It's that you notice the things left unsaid. You sense the hidden anxieties. You see the intricate social masks that everyone, including you, is wearing. And in that moment of strange clarity, you feel completely and utterly alone. You're there, physically, but your mind feels miles away, just observing with a detached curiosity. If you've felt this, you're not broken. It's not a character flaw or a failure to connect. The work of Swiss psychoanalyst Carl Jung offers a powerful lens to understand this feeling, not as a sign of damage, but as a sign that you are waking up. It's a quiet, often painful signal that your mind might just operate on a different frequency, and that the solitude you fear could actually be the doorway to your most authentic self. Let's be clear about what this withdrawal really is. It isn't just the shyness of an introvert who gets drained by social events, though that can be part of it. And it's not the coldness of someone who looks down on others. This is a much more complex, often subconscious retreat. It's a slow separation from the collective, a gradual pulling away from the world's noise, not out of spite, but out of a deep, instinctual need to preserve yourself. Maybe you recognize this in your own life. You're at a party, surrounded by noise, but you feel a profound psychological distance. You nod, you smile, you go through the motions, but your mind is somewhere else entirely. It's analyzing the group dynamics, deconstructing the conversations, seeing the underlying patterns of human behavior play out like a familiar script. This isn't a conscious choice. It's the default setting of a mind that can't help but see the architecture beneath reality's surface. This creates what feels like an invisible wall. You can see and hear everyone through it, but your words and thoughts struggle to get through in their pure form. You feel perpetually misunderstood. And it's not because people are mean, but because the language you speak internally, a language of nuance and interconnected ideas, it just doesn't translate well into casual conversation. The result is a gnawing loneliness that has nothing to do with how many people are around you. It's the loneliness of being the only one who speaks your native tongue in a foreign land. You can get by, sure, but the soul of what you want to say, well, it gets lost. Now, to the person on the other side of that invisible wall, your withdrawal can look a lot like judgment. Your silence is mistaken for arrogance. Your need for space? It's seen as being aloof. That thoughtful pause you take before speaking, it's often perceived as disinterest, or even worse, a sign that you think you're better than everyone else. Society is generally uncomfortable with stillness. It rewards quick responses and easy chatter. And the person who doesn't offer those things, well, they're often labeled as cold or unapproachable. This misdiagnosis is, well, one of the most painful parts of the experience. You aren't trying to be intimidating. No, you're not looking down on the conversation at all. In fact, it's often the opposite. You might be silent because you're listening so intensely, trying to find a real way into a discussion that, honestly, just feels superficial. Or maybe you're quiet because you're deeply aware of the topic's complexities, and you just don't want to offer a simplistic opinion. Or, perhaps, you're just exhausted from the constant effort of, well, dumbing down your thoughts to make them fit. And this creates a truly painful feedback loop. The world misunderstands you, which, pushes you even further away. And your distance? Well, it only seems to confirm their original misjudgment. You withdraw to protect your inner world. And in doing so, you become even more of an enigma. The invisible wall just gets built, brick by brick, with the mortar of misunderstanding. To really get why this withdrawal happens, we have to go deeper than just loneliness and look at the mechanics of a highly perceptive mind. You could say this kind of mind is a pattern recognition machine at its core. But this is both a gift and a heavy burden. Where most people see a simple chat, you see the subtext. Where they see a friendly hangout, you see the delicate dance of social hierarchies and unspoken needs. You see the scripts. You notice the slight shift in someone's tone when they feel threatened, the flicker of disappointment in their eyes, the way people use humor to deflect vulnerability. You see how conversations follow predictable paths, and how arguments are often more about ego than the topic itself. You see the masks people wear, the competent professional, the carefree spirit, and you're painfully aware of the fragile human face hiding just beneath. Seeing all this isn't a cynical choice. It's an involuntary kind of perception. You can't unsee the patterns once you've spotted them. And that clarity makes it incredibly hard to just engage authentically. How can you throw yourself into a game when you can see the strings controlling all the puppets, including yourself? This can lead to a kind of existential ache. When you perceive the vast, repetitive, and often absurd patterns of society, it can make you question what it all means. The little dramas and the chase for status can all feel profoundly empty from a high enough altitude. The burden isn't just seeing the truth in one interaction. It's the weight of seeing the larger, often disheartening patterns of the human condition reflected in everything. It's emotionally exhausting, and withdrawal becomes a way to turn down the volume and escape the fire hose of data your mind just can't stop processing. Imagine living your whole life in a country where nobody speaks your native language. You could learn the local tongue, become fluent, even hold a job, but every single word would require a conscious act of translation. You'd constantly be searching for the right phrase, simplifying your complex thoughts into a vocabulary others can understand. By the end of the day, you'd be exhausted. You'd just long for the simple joy of speaking your own language with someone who truly gets every nuance. This is the daily grind for many perceptive people. Your mind, it thinks in a language of immense complexity, but the world, well, it mostly communicates in a more direct, concrete way. To participate, you have to constantly translate. You take your sprawling, multidimensional thoughts, and you flatten them into two-dimensional, socially friendly sound bites. And this process? It's a staggering drain on your mental energy. You have to monitor not only what you say, but also how you say it. Is this too abstract? Will they think I'm being arrogant? Will they even care? After a while, silence starts to feel like a real relief. Solitude becomes a sanctuary where you can finally stop translating and just think in your native tongue. That's why many intelligent people are quiet in groups. Not because they have nothing to say, but because they have too much to say. And the energy it would take to package it all, it's just too great. The preference for solitude isn't a rejection of other people. It's a desperate need to rest from that lifelong job of translation. It's the deep, quiet relief of finally, truly coming home. For a mind that craves depth, small talk is more than just boring. It can feel like, well, psychological torture. It's the conversational equivalent of eating styrofoam. There's no nourishment, no substance, and, no flavor. It's a performance of connection, an exchange of pleasantries that avoids any real intimacy. The agony of small talk lies in how disingenuous it feels. You're talking about the weather, right? Not because either of you cares about meteorology, but because, well, it's a safe script that requires zero vulnerability. For a mind that sees patterns, small talk is the most predictable and the least efficient pattern there is. It's a closed loop that goes nowhere. The perceptive mind, it's driven to learn, to grow, to connect the dots, and to explore the why behind the what. Small talk, though, It actively works against this. It's an unspoken agreement, really, to just stay on the surface. This feels like a profound waste of time. Every moment spent on traffic or celebrity gossip is a moment not spent exploring, the fascinating universe of ideas. This creates a painful dilemma. Refuse to engage in small talk, and you risk being labeled rude or even antisocial. But engage in it, and you feel a part of your soul just withering away. So many choose a middle path. They perform the ritual, yes, but it leaves them feeling hollow. They retreat from social situations, not because they dislike people, but because, they're starved for conversations that truly matter. The withdrawal, then, is a search for an oasis of substance in a vast desert of the superficial. Then there's the challenge of processing emotions differently. It's a damaging stereotype, really, that intelligent people are unfeeling robots. The truth isn't that they lack emotion, but that they often process it through the lens of logic and analysis. When faced with an emotional situation, their first instinct might not be to just feel, but to understand. To deconstruct the problem and find a solution. Imagine a friend comes to you in tears over a problem. The expected social response is immediate empathy. "Oh, that's terrible. I'm so sorry." An analytical mind, however, might immediately jump to problem-solving mode. "Okay, what led to this? What are the potential solutions? Have you tried this?" From the inside, this is an act of deep care. You're offering your greatest asset, your mind, to help fix what's causing the pain. But from the outside, it can come across as cold and dismissive. Your friend might not be looking for a solution. They might just want someone to sit with them in their sadness. This mismatch in emotional language, it can create a painful chasm. After this happens enough times, you learn to be wary of emotional situations. You might start to feel like your natural response is, it's wrong, and you become hesitant to offer your perspective for fear of being seen as uncaring. This can lead to a withdrawal from emotionally charged interactions, sort of reinforcing that false idea that you're truly detached. Finally, there's the crushing weight of expectation. From a young age, intelligent individuals are often singled out as the smart ones, the ones with potential. Teachers and parents place a heavy burden on their shoulders. They're expected to succeed, to be brilliant, to always have the answers. This pressure is quickly internalized. You develop a relentless perfectionism and hold yourself to impossibly high standards. Anything less than exceptional feels like a catastrophic failure. And this is the perfect breeding ground for what we now call imposter syndrome. Despite clear evidence of your accomplishments, you live with a nagging fear that you're a fraud, that your successes are just luck, and that you're about to be, found out. This fear can be paralyzing. It can make you hesitant, to enter situations where you might not immediately excel. Social dynamics, with their unwritten rules, become a high-stakes arena for potential failure. Saying the wrong thing, or appearing awkward, can feel like proof of your deepest fear, that you aren't really smart, just a pretender. Withdrawal, then, can be a defense mechanism. Solitude is a safe space with no performance, no judgment, and no risk of being exposed. By stepping away from the social stage, you relieve yourself of the burden of being the smart one and can just be yourself. The isolation becomes a shield against the unbearable weight of other people's and your own expectations. So, if the world feels like a stage, and your mind is wired to see the artifice in it all, what are you supposed to do? If we look to the work of Carl Jung, the answer isn't to force yourself to fit in, or learn to love the superficial. The answer lies in understanding why you feel separate. Jung's work lets us see this feeling of alienation, not as a pathology but as a powerful calling, the start of a journey he called individuation. Individuation is the process of becoming your whole, authentic self. It's the journey of discovering who you are, separate from society's expectations and the roles you've been conditioned to play. To explain this, Jung used the concept of the persona. The persona is that social mask we all wear. You know, the good employee, the loyal friend. It's just the version of ourselves we show the world to get by. A persona isn't bad, though. It's a necessary tool. The problem, really, comes when we mistake the mask for our actual face. Now, for a highly perceptive person, the persona often feels thin and, well, fake. The gap between their complex inner world and the simple mask they have to wear becomes unbearable. And the withdrawal from society is often a subconscious rebellion against a persona that feels like it's suffocating the true self. This is where the journey of individuation begins. It's a conscious turn inward, away from the demands of the group, to find out what lies beneath the mask. This, Jung argued, is one of the most crucial tasks of an adult life. Shedding those false layers to let the true self emerge. Looking at it this way completely reframes the experience of withdrawal. The solitude that society might pity is, in fact, an essential ingredient for this work. It's not a prison of loneliness. It's a sanctuary for self-discovery. It's the workshop of the soul. Think of it like this. A sculptor can't create a masterpiece in a bustling marketplace. They need the quiet focus of their studio. In the same way, the work of individuation can't happen amid the constant noise of social life. Solitude is the space where the world's chatter finally fades, and you can start to hear the quiet whispers of your own soul. It's in this stillness that you can finally take off the heavy mask and look at your true face in the mirror. This solitude isn't empty. Instead, it's an active, fertile state. It's where you can finally think your own thoughts without needing to translate them. It's where you can connect with your feelings without fear of judgment. It's where you process all the data you've collected from the world, find the patterns, and make sense of it all. This is where real insight is born. Choosing solitude, then, isn't an act of hating the world. No, it's an act of profound self-love. It's recognizing that you need intentional retreat to recharge, to recalibrate, and to connect with the deepest parts of yourself. It's about honoring the needs of a mind that's just wired differently. This chosen solitude isn't an escape from life, but a deep dive into its very essence. But this journey into solitude, it doesn't mean you're destined to be alone forever. Far from it. The process of individuation, it actually leads to a deeper, more meaningful way of connecting with others. The withdrawal from mass society. It's a filtering process. It's a retreat from meaningless connections to create space for profound ones. Once you've spent time in the sanctuary of solitude and become more comfortable with your authentic self, you'll find your tolerance for fakeness just drops. The need for social validation fades, replaced by a desire for genuine connection. You no longer seek relationships to escape from yourself, but to share the self you've discovered. And this fundamentally changes the kinds of relationships you build. You're no longer interested in a wide circle of shallow acquaintances. Instead, you seek that rare, electrifying connection with those few people you don't have to wear a mask around. You search for those who speak your native tongue. These are the relationships of the soul. They're built not on convenience or shared superficial interests, but on a mutual recognition of depth and a shared respect for truth. Finding such a connection is a rare and precious gift. You learn that one single, authentic friendship is worth more than 1,000 superficial ones. The withdrawal, then, is a paradox. By stepping away from the world, you learn how to connect with it more deeply. By embracing your solitude, you cure your loneliness. You stop trying to fit into the world. Instead, you begin to create a world of your own, populated by the few who truly see you, who get you, and who value you, for the complex, authentic individual you fought so hard to become. This path of withdrawal and rediscovery is a personal one, and because of that, it can feel lonely. If this feeling of being behind an invisible wall, this exhaustion of translation, and this deep yearning for authenticity resonates with you, share your experience in the comments. You might just find that you're not as alone as you think. The takeaway here is that this feeling of being an outsider, it's not a curse, it's a compass. It's your psyche telling you that you're meant for a different path, one that leads away from the hollow noise and toward the rich inner landscape of the self. Your withdrawal isn't a retreat from the world, but a courageous advance towards your own soul. It's the path of individuation that Jung's work helps us understand. It's a path for those brave enough to seek their own truth, even if it means walking it alone for a while. The weight of your perception, it's not a punishment. It's an initiation. It's the very thing that can lead you to a life of profound depth and meaning, not with everyone, but with the ones who truly matter. And most importantly, with yourself. Your solitude isn't a sign that you're broken. No. It's the sign that you're beginning to become whole,